Welcome to Imperfect Together. I am Chris, and this is my man Bobby. He is going to be joining us today. And just in case this is your first time and you don't know what Imperfect Together is, basically we're just some dudes who want to be like Jesus, but we're not perfect, and that's okay. But we're all in this together, trying to figure it out. And we have a little bit of fun. So this is Bobby.
Hello.
Bobby Roush. He has a cooler last name than I do. And Bobby is a fantastic musician. How many instruments do you play, Bobby?
Around 4. We're kind of working on 5 right now.
What's the one you're working on?
I want to learn how to play trumpet. Just cause.
Trumpet.
Yeah, trumpet's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you play gigs and stuff, right, with your family?
Yes, I do.
So would you ever play the trumpet in a gig?
Yes. There's certain songs that we do that really need a cool
some Sinatra?
Yeah, there's also some Neil Diamond, like Sweet Caroline. It's got a really cool horn section in it. That would be really cool to play.
What about saxophone?
Just
break it down on a saxophone?
Just break it down. I don't know I think I would be better as a trumpet player because it's a little easier to carry than.
Well, what else do you play? So you play guitar?
Guitar, bass, drums, and piano.
So he's a one-man band.
Yeah.
You like that dude who's got all of it and just does all of it with one thing?
Yeah. That guy's crazy.
Yeah.
I watch him online. I tried doing it at home and I threw it on the ground.
You'd have to make some kind of a special rig to do that though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I've seen guys that will play guitar and then kick to a cajon and make it a bass drum as well, so he can keep the beat. It's really impressive how they build
that. It is impressive. Yeah. So being a music guy, what is? I'm assuming you go to concerts.
Yes. Yeah.
What is by far the best concert you've ever been to?
It was October 26th, 2018. It was a 5 Seconds of Summer.
Cow, you remember the day.
It was a 5 Seconds of Summer concert at the Walmart Amphitheater. I saw that and it just was awesome. The musicians, they're my second favorite band, and just admiring them from looking at them, it's I want to do that one day. And kind of very much inspired me to keep working on my music even more than I already did back before I saw that concert.
So what was it about that concert that was so special?
Just the way they were having fun together, because the band are 4 best friends, and me and my friends, we play music together too, so I can kind of relate to that, and it would just be so amazing to be able to do what they do forever. Even if you don't make it big time famous, just doing music throughout the rest of my life is something I want to do.
Do you know Trans-Siberian Orchestra?
No.
So the Trans-Siberian Orchestra is these rock and roll dudes. As far as I know, the only thing they do is Christmas.
Right.
But so when I was in college, I worked at a convention center, and they would come there, and they would be there for 2 months practicing to get ready to go on tour.
Oh man.
And it was this Christmas tour. And dude, I don't really go to concerts much.
Yeah.
But seeing these guys, at first you hear the name, you're like, that's stupid. But dude, it's like rock and roll guys just doing Christmas music. I promise you've heard some of their songs, but they would have fire going up in the air.
Smoke machines too?
Did all kinds of stuff. It was I remember I was working one night, one of the concerts, and I would sneak in. I didn't want to do my job. I just wanted to keep sneaking in it because it was so cool. What all they would do. And that's watching those guys, that's the best concert I think I've ever been to.
Right.
Just because it's such a cool experience. And it's one of those, I think a lot of times when you have stuff like that, the experience is so unique that you have a hard time explaining it.
Right.
It's one of those you just had to be there.
Yeah.
And I think we go through that a lot of times. And so as we're going into Christmas, so by the time that this is airing, this is going to be December 20th, I think, when this thing airs.
Okay.
So 5 days from Christmas.
Right.
What is your favorite thing about Christmas?
Favorite thing about Christmas is being able to sing all the cool Christmas songs with my family in our music studio, or going around seeing Christmas lights on like people's houses and stuff. Especially like going up in Fiona Hills, they always for some
So
reason.
you're a Christmas caroler.
I like Christmas caroling. And I just like everything about Christmas, and also probably the amount of food I can eat. I like the Christmas dinners and stuff too.
What is y'all's main Christmas dinner?
Either a really big like turkey, kind of like Thanksgiving dinner,
Yeah.
or like a really good ham.
Really?
Yeah, it's never both. It's either one or the other.
My grandpa, every time we always did Christmas Eve at their house, and it was always these fat, juicy steaks, and it was so good.
Man.
You know, when it comes to Christmas, I think a lot of people have mixed feelings about it,
Right.
and not just Christmas, but just like the idea of Jesus in general. Because
Right.
like, obviously, Christmas is about a lot of different things. We talk about Santa, but ideally it's around the birth of Jesus.
Yes.
And I think people have a lot of mixed emotions talking about it or just in what they believe about Jesus, whether it's I think there's several reasons why. Like, I think sometimes like the people who are actually telling them about Jesus don't really live a changed life, and so they don't see the point.
Right.
So that's our fault for when we don't, act like Jesus calls us to live. But I think too, when you think about you sing Christmas songs and they're all about joy to the world and this and you think the message of Jesus is all good and joyful and happy, and yet their life is not.
Right.
They're miserable or life is hard or whatever it is. So kind of what I want to go talking about a little bit today is thinking of those people in mind. So like if you fit into that category of like you're not sure about the whole Jesus thing, like that's okay.
Yeah.
Do you think it's okay to question God or to seek answers from God even if you don't necessarily believe in him or you're not sure you're not sure the whole story plays out like you think it should, Is it okay to question God?
Yes, I think it is okay to question God. I sometimes question God. It's like, I'm having one of those days. I ask God, what are you doing? Like, why are you putting me through this? I feel like the hardest part is just trusting him and knowing that he's only going to do good for you. And that's what sometimes I struggle with is just because there's times where I don't really fully trust like him because I'm so scared of like what's going to happen in the future. But in the end, I usually just calm down and like I pray a lot, and then coming to church just because kind of helps me say, all right, God, you've got this. I put all my faith in you. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's the toughest part. I feel like it's the toughest things that Christians have to do sometimes.
Did you ever have a point in your life where, like when you didn't believe, or obviously you had that point in your life, but did you ever face some of these things of like, I'm not really sure about this whole Jesus story, or was Christmas any different because you didn't really care about Jesus' birth?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, my family always like took me to church. Like we always went to church while we were living in California or when we moved to Paris and then a little in Fort Smith. Like I always knew who Jesus is. I tried practicing like Christian like religion. It's just I was young at the time, so I didn't really fully like understand it. So there was a time where we didn't go to church for about 5 years because we were working on Sundays, and it just it didn't work out. So we'd sometimes go to a Christmas Eve service, but that would be about it, and then Easter services. But I guess it was one day, I was a little down in the dumps, and my friend said, "Why don't you come to church with me?" And I immediately said no, just because I've been so long without church that I think I can do it without it. But I don't know. It was one Sunday I woke up. I was like, I'm gonna go to church, and I told my parents like, "Hey guys, I'm going to church," and they go, "Oh, good for you." I was like, "Yeah, I'll tell you how it goes." So at that time I was going over to Grand Avenue Church, and I get there, and last time I remember church, everybody dressed up. Everyone wore a suit and ties, slacks. Their hair was slicked back. So what did I do? I borrowed one of my dad's sport coats and suits and ties, and I looked just like, I look good. Like, I look good. And I get there, one of the youth pastors is wearing a football jersey and cargo shorts. But like everyone else is like wearing shorts and t-shirts and jeans.
So you're the only guy in the suit.
Yes, I look like an old dude. I tell my friend, I was like, "Why aren't y'all dressed up?" He goes, you don't have to. I was like, I know, but like this guy's in a football jersey. He goes, because it's Super Bowl Sunday. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that. But that church service, you know, they were talking about trials and stuff, like putting your faith in Jesus and God. That's where I was like struggling. And just something about that service is like, okay, I think I want to continue this road with Jesus and like say I want to grow and I want to be a Christian. So it's about a couple months later, you know, my life was turning around. I was doing some good things, and I just said I want to be baptized and I want to dedicate my life to Christ. So that's kind of what I did.
So you kind of went on that journey and found it out for yourself.
Right.
Okay. So just to shift gears a little bit, being that we're in Christmas time and talking about the Christmas story, there's an interesting part of the Christmas story. So like we're not going to get into all of it. We talked a lot about it last week, just with Mary and Joseph and that whole thing and how God actually came to earth. But there's characters in the story that I find very interesting.
Right.
And it's this part where angels show up to shepherds. And you start reading it and you're like, why? Why in the world? So like what I want to do is I want to read a passage real quick. It comes from Luke on this whole interaction with the shepherds. And then we want to talk about that a little bit. All right. So here's what it says. This is in Luke chapter 2. It says, "And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. And an angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, 'Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people. Today in the town of David, a Savior will be born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. He will be a sign to you, or this will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in clothes, lying in a manger.' And then suddenly a great company of the heavenly host appeared with the angels, praising God and saying, 'Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace to those on whom his favor rests.' And when the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, 'Let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about.'" Couple things here. First of all, these shepherds are living out in the fields.
Right.
All right. So they're dirty, nasty people.
Yeah.
If you've been around sheep, they just stink.
Yes.
And I'm guessing they didn't shower a whole lot.
Right.
So you got these guys. Why in the world would angels show up to these guys of all people? Like if you're God,
yeah,
and you're going to show up to somebody to say, "Hey, let me tell you about my son who was just born over here.
right,
Go check it out." Because that's basically what they said. "Don't be afraid, I'm bringing you good news." And they told them exactly what they were going to go find. Why go to shepherds? Why not go to like somebody with some influence?
maybe these people didn't like know about this becoming of the birth of Jesus. And reading through that passage, I could maybe assume that the shepherds were very feared and confused, because there's a phrase that people fear what they do not understand. So they may have not understood what was happening at that time. So,
I mean, you'd also be afraid just of like angels showing up,
yeah,
telling you the story, and then all of a sudden some more show up and they start
Yeah.
singing together, and it's like, what
and a
in
baby's
the world?
supposed to be the Messiah or something.
Yeah.
Like
So here's what I find interesting. I think this speaks to a lot of the character of God and who God is and what he was trying to show. Because if you're trying to announce the Messiah has come, it probably makes a whole lot more sense to go to somebody that has some influence.
Right.
Right? Go to the people that everybody knows in the town, and because they'll spread the word and all this kind of stuff. Instead, you're going to go to these shepherds that nobody cares about, that live out in a field all by themselves. And I think what that shows about God is that God loves all people
Everybody.
at all times and in all places, right? It kind of just, like the whole, I think one of the unique things about just the whole story of Jesus' birth and Christmas and all that kind of stuff is the fact that it's so backwards from what anybody would ever think or expect, right? It almost becomes one of those things that helps you realize that the Bible is true, because you can't make this crap up.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like if you're writing this story, that's not what you're putting in the story.
No.
But yet God shows up as a baby. He grows up just like us.
Right.
Like just showing like I'm a humble servant and I'm here for everybody.
Yeah.
Not just the powerful or whatever. But
He didn't like see different stages of people. He just saw he just saw people, everyone was the same to him.
I'm going to go to the people that nobody expects.
Right.
And just to prove to you that I'm a guy that's very different from every other guys that maybe people believed in at that point. I think here's kind of where I want to land is when it comes to the shepherds, they had this very unique experience with the angels, right? I've never had angels show up and start singing with me. But they had this experience with the angels, and the angels told them all about it. And they told them what to expect and all this kind of stuff. But yet they still had to go see for themselves. Right? And I think that's what I like about this story with the shepherds is they didn't just take their word for it. They went to go see for themselves. And I think a lot of times as people who are trying to understand, you know, is Jesus real?
Yeah.
Is this whole Christmas thing, is it really, you know, what it's all cracked up to be? Well, sometimes you just got to go find out for yourself.
Right.
Just like that concert. Like, I'm never going to understand why you like that concert so much unless I go and see it for myself. Right? And I think, you know, that's just part of what believing in Jesus is all about is like, don't take my word for it and don't take your word for it. It's something you have to experience for yourself. Yeah. So to land here a little bit, what are some ways that you can do that? Like, how do we go experience it for ourselves?
Well, I went to church. I woke up and said, I'm going to go to church this morning. I practiced a religion. I started praying a lot more often, like when I'm driving or like even when I was on the baseball field, standing in the outfield, and not that much action was happening. I just started praying to God, and just my family, we had like a lot of discussions, kind of like how we're doing now. Dad just asked us questions. Hey, what'd you learn in church today? And now I was able to tell him, because when I was younger, he said, what'd you guys learn in church today? I was telling him, I was confused by everything he said. But yeah.
We got Cheerios.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was really cool when like the family we could all talk about like religion and Jesus and how from his birth all the way up to his death and then the resurrection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you just kind of kept showing up.
Yeah. I just kind of
whether it's at church or having conversations or praying or whatever. Like,
yeah. Also, they asked me if I wanted to be in the youth worship band, so that kind of helped me do stuff because I love to play music and I love Jesus and I love learning about it. So I said, yeah, this would be a good opportunity for me to get involved in church, get involved in something good, like not bad but good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to learn about something if you don't try to learn about it. Right. So I think, you know, if you're somebody that falls into that category of you don't know if this is real or you've never really had that experience with Jesus, then just go find out. Right. I think God is not afraid of that. And I think too, like just ask questions. Sometimes we think that, you know, we're not allowed to doubt or we're not allowed to ask God questions. We're just supposed to believe it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's true at all. I think if you want to know something, go find the answers. Yeah. It's hard to discover truth if you're not asking questions. Right. And I think that's okay. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think God's afraid of that. No. You know, he's not afraid of us to ask him to show himself or, you know, not that now it may be different than we expect. Right. He's not just going to show up here. I mean, he could, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I think the reality is if we want to know truth, if we are seeking truth, whatever truth may be, then we have to actually go find it. Yeah. Ask questions, talk to people, go to church, surround yourself with people who have different opinions than you, and kind of just find out for yourself. It's just like the shepherds. You just kind of have to go and see and experience it for yourself. So, yeah, I think that's good. Yeah. So what would be, so let's say somebody is watching or listening that is in that boat. They kind of don't know, maybe they've heard about Jesus, maybe they haven't, maybe they just don't care at all.
Right.
But they desire truth. They want to know, okay, if this is true, I want to know. What would be some like final words that you would want to share with them?
Just go and do it. Maybe ask a friend who goes to church that, hey, can I tag along with you at church if you don't mind? And I think everybody would say yes. Yeah, you come to church with me.
Yeah.
And just say no, not at all.
Nope, you're not allowed. If they say that, then go to a different church.
Yeah, I go to a different church. Or if they say, hey, you have to wear certain clothes here, because there's some churches that say you have to wear certain clothes. Just that weird thought. But I feel like just go out there and search for it and ask somebody who goes and just see what it's about.
Yeah, no, that's good. How big has having other people in your life, how much has that helped influence you or helped you grow in your faith and discovering more about who Jesus is?
They've been really good influences. They've helped me grow in my faith and my relationship with Christ, because without Christ, sometimes people can go on the wrong path, and I feel like I could have gone the wrong path if I didn't have Jesus Christ, and if I didn't have my influences like mom, dad, sister, and a bunch of my friends who went to the church I was going to. They all kind of helped me out. I'd ask them questions, or when the youth pastor over there was preaching at the end of the preaching, I asked him, hey, what did you mean by this? And we'd have like an hour discussion about it. It was really probably one of the best conversations I had about this. I was on a hike with my friend Harley and their youth pastor down the church. We went on like a 2-mile hike, and from there and back, we just talked about religion and the Bible, about everything from the beginning of times to they say the end of times. It was a really good conversation, and I was confused at the start of it. At the end of it, I was a little less confused. It was a really good conversation. I feel like good conversations about Jesus and God are really special to me.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think it's important to surround yourself with people and just have those conversations. And not everybody's gonna know all the answers. Like, rarely is the Bible can be confusing.
Yeah,
I think it's very relevant. I think it's necessary for us to read, but it can also be confusing if we don't know how to read it properly, right? And so having other people in our lives that we can talk to about that with. So, so if you do fall in that category, find a church to get plugged into. I mean, if you're in Fort Smith, you can come to Community Bible. Yeah. If you're not, find a church near you and just start seeking, start finding out and seeing just kind of what God will show you, and ask him, because he'll show up. I promise he'll show up. So, all right, man. Yeah. Well, thanks for being on today.
Thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. One day maybe we'll have to have you actually show us what you can do on a guitar.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because I've seen it. It's crazy. But hey, thanks for hanging out with us today. We love you guys. I think we have one more before. No, this is probably the last one before we break a couple weeks for Christmas. So hope you enjoy Christmas if you're watching this when it's filmed. If not, it may be January, or it may be July. Who knows? Hey, love you guys.
Thank you guys.
We will see you later.